Hey guys, my name is Joseph. I'm from the UK.
Hey, and I'm Leigh from Sydney, Australia.
And we're the Financial Matters, and this is the Financial Matters podcast, right? Sharing financial knowledge, financial literacy for you. Yeah, so this is really a goal for us is, to help people better understand how to think about their finances, manage their finances, and actually live with their finances, right?
It's just tips we are financial advisors here in the Czech financial market. Okay, so we're certified here. But it's just general recommendations, tips, and tricks on how to help you in your future finances.
Right. You recognize that your finances are a reflection of you, right? So obviously sometimes it can be quite uncomfortable to talk about these things. So it's really good to talk to someone you trust. And even for us, even for me, even financial advisors, we also have to manage our finances as well. You talk about it a lot, but we also need that kind of support and mentorship to look after, to help us be accountable to ourselves. And today, really, what we're going to talk about is lifestyle and finances.
Yeah, and I think this is important because this is very basic. A lot of people living above their means, right? And spending way too much on rent and going out and these things and forgetting about the important things that they need to be doing for their future. Yeah. So this is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. And that's a really good point that you mentioned. People live above their means. Some people are living at their means. Those two things are not necessarily really good in terms of your future, right? Your future you will be looking at you and saying, "Eesh, what are you doing, bro? Relax a little, And it's all really, I think one of the key important words is delayed gratification.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you don't meet someone that says, "Oh, I wish I had have taken care of my finances when I was younger.
Right.
I wish I had started my investment plans when I was younger."
Yeah.
And so this is the idea, is just to help you to give you some knowledge and tips and help you make that start.
Sure, for sure. And so Leigh, what would you say is are some of the blueprints in terms of all the financial journey to get into financial freedom? Right. So everyone talks about that a lot. What is your view of that?
Well, you need to definitely budget. You need to control your expenses.
Okay.
I've met so many people that are living above their means, which we mean by spending way too much on rent, going out, ordering Bolt and of these things. It's become more popular and spending a lot of money on things that they don't really need.
Right.
And it's actually stealing from their future selves. So I would say definitely budgeting. And one of the most important things is tracking your expenses.
Okay.
Definitely you should track your expenses.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good tools out there to do this. I mean, there's apps. I think there's one called One Money that's meant to be pretty good.
Okay.
A lot of banks actually have their own apps because 90%, 95% of the time you're paying by card, so a bit rises.
Yes.
But it's, if you're taking out cash or something, it's hard to track specifics. Excel sheets.
Yes, I love Excel. Anyone, for all you guys that are have experience in financing, we like our Excel a lot, but there are a lot of different tools in Excel sheets, right? That you can leverage where you can actually start to catalog where your money is really going. Because if you don't know where your money is going, there's no way you can actually try to build anything, right? So that's really, really important. I like how you said that the different ways to categorize it, all the benefits of doing that. That's pretty cool.
And I would really recommend not just tracking it for a couple of weeks or something because these bigger expenses come up every now and again, right? So maybe really getting into a habit of doing it all the time and not just looking at, say, 1 month and living off that and going by that, but maybe off 6 months and just continue it and just see where your money's going, where it doesn't need to be going, and what you can do better.
Yeah. And I guess sometimes a lot of us have the feeling that when we get our money on paycheck day, right, it's gone the next day, right? And then we're just kind of figuring out what's going on here.
Yeah.
And in best way we try to avoid that is just don't look at the bank account, right? Until we go to the till when we try to get that extra coffee, right? And it doesn't work. It's oh, okay, I guess where's the money? I guess I stay indoors all for the rest of the month, right? And I remember my history of that in terms of doing that, right? So I know for myself that one thing I really tried to do, especially with some of the Excel sheets I did, was actually do a forecast of my cash flow. So I kind of recognized after a year or two of just literally trying to track my expenses that, on these occasions, on these particular specific months, I'm always really low on cash.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what can I do on the front end to prepare rather than to repair? Right. So definitely leveraging that type of like model, and actually even going back into your future. A lot of advisors actually tell you, right, to actually look back at your last 3 months as a way to see what you're actually doing. You know, so if you can do that and actually know where things are going, then you're able to kind of like, okay, this is what's happening. Now I can try to figure out how I can start to improve that. Yeah. Because what can be tracked can be improved upon, and what can be improved upon, or actually I'm saying that in the wrong way. What can be tracked what can be measured can be tracked.
Yeah.
And what can be tracked can be improved upon. So you leverage that type of mindset and try to build the habits in place, right? Try to build the systems in place to track your finances and even track your living expenses.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you think about just basic things, I think a lot of people, when they're going to the office, lunch breaks, they go out as a group. So they're going out for lunch every day, right? So maybe 5 days a week. That's maybe 1,000 crowns easy a week. Easy, that's 4,000 crowns also a month, which is your retirement, right? Sure, just these little things. It's not like, look, you don't have to sacrifice everything, right? It's being clever and maybe sitting down and working out the things that you do need. Of course, you need to pay the rent and you know, utilities. You need to eat, so you need groceries. And this is where we say maybe going to supermarkets and not going out to eat as often, right?
Yeah.
Just these little things, and just keeping track of everything to see what you don't really need.
Yeah.
All the subscriptions that you.
Yeah, I was literally, as you were saying that, I was thinking just,
And you got 100 crowns here, 100 crowns there. It all adds up. So maybe really going through and see what you really need and what's not needed. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
You can do something better with it, because we also need to build savings, a safety net.
Yeah. Yeah. I like a lot of the time, I also like having the background in finance. I also recognize that how I save, inflation is taking all that money away.
Yeah.
Right? But there is actually there's a concept of actually having multiple saving buckets, right? You have a rainy day fund for emergencies, but you also have like a fully built emergency fund, right? Which is normally like 3 to 6 months of your expenses or income for those that are really want to feel secure, right?
Yeah.
12 months of your income. If you can leverage that, imagine you might go on a day, or you might go out with your friends. How comfortable would you feel when you had 12 months of your income in your bank account?
Yeah.
Right? Like if something was to happen where, I need to fly out to my family. As expats, we all have to do with that. That's something big. You're in Australia, right? How much is it to go to Australia?
These days return around $35, $40. So you're getting like 1,500 euros now. That's
tight. That's tough, man. That's tough.
these last to get there and back.
Just to get there and back, on top about like hotels or like.
Yeah, well, even when I go and stay with family, because I have all my family there.
Yeah.
There, of course, you sometimes go out to restaurants and that, and come from UK, Australia, it's expensive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so having that emergency fund, like at least $1,000 or £1,000, or actually just 30,000 crowns. But for him, that's not enough, 30,000 pounds, because if there's an emergency back home, he needs to go there, but it already means like, it's not enough. She has to do like probably 60,000, right? So whatever some people's budgets or what some people's savings will look different than you, but you need to know what is comfortable for you, right? So, and obviously if everyone's income and expenses are different, but that's why you need to measure and then try to build those buckets for yourself.
Because it's also saying that wealth is measured by how long you can live without income, right?
Yep.
And that's what we're saying, that everyone's different. You can have someone that's the really high income, but maybe they're spending a lot of money as well. And they don't have that safety net.
Yeah.
And maybe they lose their job and they're screwed.
Yeah.
Or you have someone that doesn't earn so much, but they're very good at budgeting, keeping track of their expenses.
Yeah.
And they have their 6-12 months expenses saved. So if they lose their job, they're okay. They can relax.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're not in a rush. Like I met a guy, he was laid off, but he had so much savings that he was like, yeah, I was taking a few days, a few months, and he took his time and found a good job for himself. And like that, having that kind of like flexibility is very important. So you just don't take any kind of job that is nonsense, they don't like, they don't appreciate. Beggars can't be choosers, right? So yeah, just recognize those things. And actually one thing that I can definitely like even summarize this literal segment that we've talked about is security. Security, how can I feel secure in myself, in my lifestyle? And look, even with your budgeting, budget for entertainment, budget for things that you need to do to live life, right? We're not trying to sell you to be, a monk or something, right? We want you to actually live life, but live actually below your means so that you can build the security and then you can move on to your next financial journey, which is independence, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because look, and to be honest, like the sooner you start doing these things, the easier it is, because it's like anything, it's building habits. And it's very sad sometimes when I meet people that are already in their 40s and things, and they don't have anything planned for their future. They don't have any retirement fund. They don't have any real savings. They don't have any real goals, and it's actually very difficult to change these people's habits.
Yes.
Yes, unless they're stuck in their way. If you're younger, it's much easier. But yeah, so look, anyone can do it. It's just discipline. Like anything, you need to change. You need to build some new good habits, and it just takes some discipline.
And let's be honest. Like everyone's going through this, right? And that's why it's really important to kind of actually find people who want to improve themselves and actually try being accountable to one another, try to support one another, people you trust. Is because no one can do this by themselves. Like I think I just come through a realization it's who you know and not what you know that is very helpful. And like that's why a lot of the elites are able to stay in elites. It is because they have a network of people that are advocating for their behalf, right? And they can go for them for knowledge or information, right? So this is why we're so happy that we can do what we do in terms of this podcast. Finance matters to everybody. I want to share that value that we've obtained from our experience, right?
So should we try and like have a recommendation, like break down income into percentage?
Okay, yeah, that works.
Because look, the idea of this is, Therese, because look, I know, and this is particularly focusing on expats here in Czech Republic, right?
Yeah.
Particularly most of my clients that are in Prague, some are spending a lot of money on rent that they can't really afford, right?
So they're buying too much house?
Yeah.
Is that what that's what's happening?
So you really got to sacrifice. So maybe it's just for a year. Maybe you need to live outside the center just for a year to get on top of things. Maybe fight harder for that pay rise, but that's not always possible.
Yeah.
So I think when we break down the income into percentage, rent, utilities and things like that shouldn't really be no more than 50%, would you say?
Of property income. It really should be 30%, man.
Yeah.
Like maximum you should be spending for your rent is 30%. If there's anything higher than that, you might need to recognize that you are over leveraging yourself. Not even over leveraged, but you're overextending yourself, right? Because if something else was to happen, let's say the landlord increases the rent, but you also have other things, other lifestyles to wait. Actually, just to be accountable, you should actually just be living at 70% maximum of your income.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if you're buying rent or paying for rent or mortgage, that's 50% of your income, you only have 20% to live. What type of lifestyle is that? Right? So I understand that. And how can you even like try and prepare yourself for the future? There's no way. It's impossible. Right? So you actually kind of have to slow down to speed up. Right? So actually try to just humble yourself maybe. Like I have time by myself, but I like the nature, so it's all good.
Yeah. But it's true. And it's just recognizing that, because, it's very difficult, again, going back to people that maybe a little bit older as well, because they're used to this lifestyle of they have okay income. So they like to show it sometimes, live in a nice apartment, go out a lot, but then they don't have anything left for their future then. And so it's really sitting down, and like you said, 30% is ideal. I would say 50% I'm saying like rent or mortgage plus all the other bills.
Right.
Maximum 50%.
Yeah.
No more, right?
Yeah.
Because then you need to have that, you got to have your savings, and not everyone has that savings. So you got to have some time percentage of your income to build up your savings as well. You need to have a percentage that goes to your retirement, all these things.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to have kids, right, you need to have some money set aside for them. You kind of need to start thinking about how much income do I have if you're like in your late 20s, early 30s and you want to have a kid, right? If you're not ready, if your financial is not ready for such an experience, then that's that. You need to look at yourself a bit, right? In order to make yourself prepared for that. Because having kids is really expensive. Don't get me wrong, right? I want a lot of kids, but it's really expensive to do so. You need to make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Right. And also like budget in your lifestyle. Like if you know that you need to play badminton like myself, right? Budget in like maximum 5% of entertainment, 5%, right? And the more you increase your income, the better luxuries you can get with that 5%, right? And actually, one of the OG methods to obtaining real financial wealth is actually living off 30% of your income, right? Like if you can get yourself to a stage where your expenses just to survive are 30% of your income, you have up to 70% to develop assets, to invest in your security, and then develop assets that are paid or matching your income, right? And that's just independence, where where you have like, you can actually make money as you're sleeping, So that's actually part of the next step. From security, you can now move into independence, right? Before you move into financial freedom, right? That's kind of the roadmap that I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, because as soon as you also have that safety net, then you're taking a big chunk of that income every month towards something else, investments, maybe for your future property.
Yes.
These things, you're helping yourself to start thinking about assets, right?
Yeah.
Things that are going to give you that future passive income.
But wait, Leigh, what's an asset?
An asset is something that actually pays you.
Right? Simple guys, right? And then what's a liability?
Something that takes money from you.
There we go. So if something's taking money from you, okay, I love this. So a lot of people talk about, okay, this will be another topic for the future. A lot of people say, I'm getting mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to live in my property. As soon as you're living in that property, that mortgage is not an asset.
No.
It's a liability, right? This is why you should actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad. He talks about this really well, right? That you're just dumping money into or you're actually paying the bank, right? However, if someone else is paying that rent for you, now it's an asset, right? So just understanding those little details, is really powerful, really powerful. Trying to maximize your assets and limit your liabilities.
And look, that means that, for sure, maybe you still have to continue renting for a bit longer. Maybe you have to, as you said before, be a bit more humble and say, hey, you know what, rather than spending all this money on my own apartment, maybe I should go back to a flat share for a year.
Yeah.
Sometimes to get on top of things, you got to make these sacrifices, and it doesn't have to be forever. But this again comes down to sitting down and setting some goals of casting. Please set like what you really want in the next 6 months, 5 years, 10 years.
Now, let me ask you, Leigh, do you remember what you were doing three years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah? Really well?
23.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not much time, but it's gone already. Like, I can't get that fast. Yeah. It goes about really fast. So if you make goals in period, people can't really think more than 3 months ahead. People can't think that. I can't think that sometimes, right? But I know that I need to have systems in place where I look at things in the next 5 years, right? In the next 10 years, because whatever you like, unless someone is created this like technology, you're not going to make the time machine go back, right? And change things, right? So you need to kind of think today, what do I want to achieve in my life? Or what kind of lifestyle do I want to have in the next 5 years, 10 years, etc. Right? And start building accordingly for that. That's why goals are so important.
Yeah. And when we're talking about wealth and finance and things, there's no quick, rich schemes out there, right? This is patience, right? You need to, and really sitting down and setting some goals and forecasting helps this, so that you have a plan. So you don't expect too much in like the first 12 months or something.
And manage your expectation.
Yeah. You need to really plan and stick to it. Build these habits and stick to it. and it gets easier and easier.
Yeah. Anyone that's into fitness will recognize that when you go to the gym, you're not ripped, you don't have ripped abs yet. When you start going to the gym, it takes a lot of work, consistent work over a long period of time to achieve the type of body or life or like look that you're looking for, right? The same thing with finances, the same thing with any consistent application and attitude, right, towards a specific goal will lead you to results. It's really simple, really, really simple. But it's not easy though. So recognize it's not easy, but it's simple though.
Yeah.
Jill, for sure. And so like with, so what does independence really, really mean in terms of financial independence? What does that mean to you?
Look, having already built some good habits, right?
Okay.
Keeping your expenses as low as possible, as you recommended, right? Even up to 50%. I think if you're able to keep all your expenses to 50% of your income, that's really good.
Yep.
Maybe 30%, like you said, is not really realistic for a lot of people unless you have high income, for sure.
Yep.
I would say that you have a good safety net. You have your savings there, your 6 months income or whatever saved. So that like when you're talking about if you lose your job, you don't have to stress. You don't have to go out and quickly find the next thing that comes to you, so don't end up in another job that you don't really like. Giving your time to find something that you really want.
Yeah.
You have no debt, and you're really starting to build some assets. Right? Whether it doesn't have to be property or something, it can be some investments, right? Just that extra money that you have saved, you have your savings, and now that extra cash you can put somewhere so it's making more money for the future.
And from my perspective, like we were talking about before, assets. At this stage, once you achieve financial security, you have your savings, you have your emergency fund, you're limiting your liabilities, you're getting rid of debt, right? Independence is now actually trying to build assets to a level where the income is now matching your effort, right? The income is matching your efforts, right? So once you have that, once you have that kind of, once you reach that threshold, you can actually now say, I actually don't need a particular job. I don't need to rely on it.
Yeah.
Right. That's financial independence, So really have that passive income, or let's say ongoing income. This is where you need to recognize the difference between trading time for money, right? Or leveraging other people's time or assistance for money.
I think Warren Buffett he has a lot of good quotes. For one is, if you cannot find a way to make money while you're sleeping, you're going to be working until you die.
Boy, that's tough.
And that means finding a way to make money while you're sleeping, right? Investments or business, starting some business that makes money by utilizing other people.
Yeah.
Or, there's so many options these days online, social media and YouTube, these kind of things.
Oh my God, just
make money.
There's never been a time where you can actually make a lot of money by hardly actually investing a lot of capital in it. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. So just recognize, actually, I'll even say this. When you're like delving into security, you should always be educating yourself. You should always be looking to see, how can I invest in my understanding, in my knowledge, right? How can I invest in mentors? How can I actually get some support or incentivize someone to support me on my goals, right? Because we can't do everything by ourselves, right? We're social beings.
Yeah.
We're not Americans, super independent. Okay, Americans, forgive me, man. I like you guys, right? Don't kill me, yeah. But we are social beings, so we need to we feel more at peace when we're part of a tribe or part of a community that is actually working to higher levels, right? And so sometimes if you're around people that are just kind of like wayward and very, unresponsible with their money, you might have to consider, if you want different outcomes, you might have to consider change your environment. Because environment dictates performance.
Yeah, you don't have people around that have bad habits that it's easy to sleep into. Yeah, sleep into you. And you had a good point. Mentors and things like this, right? Education is really important. There's a lot of books out there. We mentioned one before, Reach That Port app, which is really good. So there's a lot out there. You can even on YouTube find these summaries.
Yep.
And then you work out which book is more for you and get on bias, right?
Yeah.
And also think about YouTube and these things. There's so many experienced, knowledgeable people out there that are putting out free content, right?
Sounds like us.
Yeah. if you don't, there's so many people out there that you can learn these things from.
Yeah.
But of course, as well, don't just follow one person. It's always good to listen to a few, get a few different ideas, to compare, and then everyone's different. You can work out what's best for you.
Yeah, and look, everyone believes that they're the king in their own castle, or they're the queen in their own castle, or they're the CEO of their own life, right? We all believe that. So just the same way that CEO and kings have dukes, advisors, etc., start to find people that can actually build a relationship with you, that can actually ask you the hard questions that you can actually learn from, because there's a lot of information out there. There is a lot of information out there. It can be very hard to know what to do with all that information, but there are very few people that are working with you to actually help you swim through that information, right? Help to manage that, understand, and actually build understanding, right? Because there's knowledge is great, but it's actually, and knowledge is power. That's what they say, right? I actually disagree. I would say applied knowledge is power, right? When you actually make mistakes, right? Life will bring lessons and you make mistakes. That's cool. You can learn from it. But there's a higher level, right? Is learn from other people's mistakes, right? So you can, you could have knowledge. Oh, I know this. I can win a quiz, all that and stuff. That's great. If you don't have any experiences, then okay, right? But wisdom is where you're going to actually be able to leverage other people's mistakes and know that, okay, I can avoid that.
Yeah.
Right. So listen to stories,
Yeah, I was going to say, because we'll start wrapping up as well, that if we have some more tips and tricks, but I was going to say on that note, also looking at the past, present, and future, right? Yeah, the past, your past mistakes you learn from, like you said, which is amazing. You can learn from other people's mistakes. That's it better. The present, track what you're doing now, where your money's going, hustle, find some...
Get something jobs. It's not hard.
Do it, even if it's only for a year, whatever, to get on top of things.
Your future self will think.
Yeah, and then you're looking for the future, right? Because you got to sit down and really think about what you want in the future. And this is the mistake that a lot of people do, is they do not sit down and think about that future. They live day to day, right? And then you get into your 40s or something and you look back and like, damn, I missed a huge amount of opportunities with my money, right? So really sit down, track your expenses, sit down and plan your future, what you want it to be, what your income you want to be, what kind of lifestyle you want, and really start planning towards it.
I recognize everything's all about mindset again. Everything kind of starts there with mindset. And so you've got to have, when you start, it's not going to feel nice, it's not going to feel great, but consistently apply yourself and building that habit, right? Investing in your mindset is going to take you so far, right? I know for myself that if I knew better, I'll do better. Right. And sometimes I have to be honest with myself and say, my results, my present results tell the truth of my past actions and my past way of thinking. Where we are is a accumulation or a summary of all our best guesses, right? And sometimes the result is just not what we want. So if you want a future outcome that's better, we need to start today and make some changes. New Year's Day. No, start today, right? And that's where you are really going to have some good results in the future. So start thinking about future, your next person, your future self, and your future self will think your past self, right? Which will motivate your present self to continue investing.
And really acknowledge that future self is you. It's not someone else.
And be willing to sacrifice. People say, "Oh, I'm just sacrificing." No, you're investing, right? How should you value yourself? Like, how much do I value myself? Look yourself in the mirror and say, if I love myself, I would actually limit myself a bit so that I can actually live the lifestyle that I really want to, So I think that kind of wraps up today.
We'll actually we'll put on the website maybe access to Excel sheet to do like expenses sheet.
For sure. We have a cash flow forecast. We have a budget template as well that you can leverage. So if you want to see that, go to the website, check that out. And
this one of the website, Finance Matter CZ.
Yeah, we tell you go.
Yeah,
financemattercz.com. So guys, get in, have a look for it. As a browse.
Yeah, and let us know, give us some feedback.
Yeah,
it's touch. And we're working on some
new improvements. Yeah, so see you again for another episode of Finance Matters podcast. And peace out.